Hey guys. Okay. So the question that everybody has for me repeatedly over and over is how do I get the thing that I want? Even if I'm talking and I'm giving the answer or I'm teaching, it's always how do I get what I want? How do I get what I want? How do I manifest the thing? So in my experience, now I am not going to regurgitate information to you. I'm going to give you my direct experience that I'm able to cross reference based on all of the research that I have done in my life, which is a lot, right? But I always cross reference that against my actual experience to try to understand it better and make come back to you guys with an explanation that is more specific and succinct, and hopefully you'll understand it better. So my understanding of manifesting is that the way that you tip the scales, which I have done this in my life lately. So, in my life, I set out to change everything and manifest really big things because what I that's what I'm aiming for with you guys is not just to tell you how to manifest one thing like your person. Like, why would you focus on manifesting just one thing when you really can change your frequency, change the dimension and the reality that you're in so that you can just change everything all at once. When it rains, it pours, right? So, the best way to do this is to shift your frequency and change your vibrational atmosphere. And I did this. So imagine, what do I mean I did this? So imagine if you're going from a place in your life where you're like, I really want results, but I'm not seeing changes. I'm studying manifesting and I'm trying to create changes in my life, but I don't feel like the wheel is turning. I don't feel like the ball is rolling, and I want to see those results. Imagine going from there to, first of all, you starting to feel a little bit different because you're making yourself feel different by applying and embodying the practices or embodying the teachings. But it starts to go from just inside how you feel about reality being different to actual reality being different. But it's not necessarily the one thing that you want manifesting. It starts at a more subtle place than that. It starts with your life becoming an ecstatic explosion of synchronicities. Now, all of you may not experience that specifically in that way. You could. It takes a version of you who can see that. So we're going to talk about this. By the way, this is part 2 of a video that I started a couple of days ago. I thought that I was going to have a couple of hours to do it, but I didn't have a couple of hours to do it. I only had one. So this is going to be part 2. I am going to keep talking and teaching until I get everything out and I give you everything that I have, all of the ideas that I have brought here today. This is going to be a lot because I'm actually telling you all the things that I did to actually create a shift in my reality. I call it tipping the scales. So if you make changes in your life and you start shifting your vibrational frequency, you start actually experiencing your consciousness on different levels in your life and spending more time doing that, up leveling your awareness, up leveling your consciousness, and shifting your vibration. If you're doing that consistently, at some point you're going to tip the scales and you're going to experience a new vibrational baseline where your whole life is different and reality is reflecting that back to you. It's no longer like you feeling differently about your life. It is your life reflecting things back to you differently. So my life has become an ecstatic explosion of synchronicities, and there's many things that I want to manifest, not only one. So a lot of the things that I wanted to manifest have actually manifested. Some of those things are big things. For everything else that has manifested, it's synchronicities that I'm noticing. that I'm like, oh, well, this, like, all of my relationships are doing really well. There's harmony in this place. There's harmony overall. Or I'm going to get into it a little bit more. But every single day, there are a lot of synchronicities happening in my life. And this is significant because I wasn't noticing. There was a time when I was not noticing that. And now I am. So this is what you want in your life, because this is the evidence that you have shifted to a different frequency, a different dimension. Now, when you do this, it means that you've shifted into a dimension or a reality where it's easier for you to manifest what you want. It's also the evidence that you have got a momentum going. Noticing that momentum is imperative to persisting and continuing the momentum so that you will get more and more and more synchronicities, more and more and more manifestations, and manifesting bigger things is just a matter of course, okay? It's kind of like anything that you're working towards. You want to see progress, and the more progress that you see, the easier it is for you to continue, because you create a virtuous cycle. If you are not doing that, then you're probably getting discouraged and you're doing the opposite of that. So you want to make sure that you're always finding some way to notice, to persist, and create a virtuous cycle where you're noticing the positive things, whether it's internally or externally. But when it happens externally, talk about it. Talk about it, talk about it, write about it. This is why in Super Life, in my community called Super Life, utilizing the community to share your success stories gives you an opportunity to talk about them. It gives you an opportunity to keep thinking and taking action and talking on that frequency of, oh my gosh, I got what I wanted. So this is a really important part of utilizing community, but just in general, like, I have a list here of all the things that I did to help me create an atmosphere, a vibrational atmosphere, that where I reached a tipping point and the reality is different. So for instance, it's just easier for me. I feel better now. I'm a different person now, persisting and reaching thoughts that I want to think, and doing things that I want to do, and manifesting things I want to manifest is just easier now than it was before. So I'm going to get into all the different things that I did in order to create that atmosphere and cultivate that atmosphere. So again, this is part 2. I'm going to put part 1 like either in the description or at the end of the video. And at part 1, make sure that you watch part 1 just so you can be kind of caught up. And I'm going to put part 2 on part 1 as well, all of that. Okay, so I want you guys, let's see, where's my, oh, I'm not, I want you guys to think of reality as being one thing, okay? But there's many parts to that one thing that crystallize. And so all these things I'm talking about, God state, presence, supernatural living, bubble love, these supernatural states, God state, all these different things are part of one whole. Okay. But the easiest way for you to manifest what you want is for you to cultivate a frequency that is supernatural in nature, meaning you're in God state most of the time, or you're in bubble love, what I call bubble love, or you're in some kind of supernatural state. A supernatural state is basically where you're in God state most of the time, or presence most of the time. So you're not really attuned to the world of circumstances and negative thoughts. And you've already got this good momentum going that makes it easier for you to manifest the things that you want. This state, a supernatural state, has a different quality to it. It's just a better place to be. And it's a good place to be. It's a happy place to be. It's a place where positivity, the things that you want, the things that you desire, they're just a matter of course. They're abundant in this place. Love is abundant in a supernatural reality. Now, getting there is what we're talking about in this video. Once you, I call it kind of like, here's how I describe it. So there's many different realities. And let's say that you're going from this reality that you're in and you want to build momentum and persist. And you want to like pierce through the membrane of that next reality until you tip the scales and find yourself there. It's like, oh my gosh, we're here. That's how it happens. But you have to create that momentum. You have to persist every single day. So here are the things that I did to make that happen. And there are levels to this. There are levels to realities and supernatural states. There's levels to manifesting. There's levels to momentum. There's levels to ease. There's levels to how big the manifestations are. There's levels to this, but it's always the same. So don't think of it like, how do I manifest my person or how do I manifest the one thing that I want? Think about it like you're cultivating an atmosphere that is conducive to you piercing through that membrane into that next reality where it's just easier for you to manifest what you want. Okay. So it's a more holistic approach. Now it's Black Friday. So I do have, actually, I just decided today, I do have a Black Friday sale for you guys. Wait until the end of the video. I'm going to talk about that. I'll probably post on it later. I know I'm getting a little bit late on it. It's a really good thing. It's a really good thing. A lot of people have been asking about this one thing, and I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you guys for Black Friday. So stay tuned till the end for that. Now, number one. Okay, so some of this I covered in the first video, but I'm just going to go ahead and go all the way through it. Plus, I added some things at the end, and if I would need to add more, I will add more. Like I said, I'm going to talk until I'm done. And so really, these two videos, part one and part two, this is more like a course. And again, this is really, really cool and good. These are all fresh in my mind because again, it's like I have manifested a lot of good things lately. I've manifested some very, even just yesterday. Wow. Like I've manifested some big things lately, some definitely different things. Things have definitely manifested in my life. And the question is, how the hell did you do it? Right? So it's hard. It's hard to remember because once you're there, it's just normal, right? You didn't do anything. It's just normal. So I try to make sure that I do try to remember and do try to document these things as well as I can so that you guys can do it too. All right. So number one is, of course, awareness, presence, sensing, feeling, being in that joy frequency, being aware of your guidance and your inspiration. You're either connected or you're not. You're either in presence or you're not. You know, you're either in God's state or you're not. This is something that is always important. This is so important that in my community called Super Life, we always have a presence practice on Saturdays at 10 a.m. We always have that. So we talk about it, we teach it, but we always actually do the practice with you guys to help you get into that state, into that frequency, because that is so important. You need to know how to do this. Why? Why is this so important? Because basically, there's two worlds. There's the world of circumstance, which is run by thinking, which is like, you know, that's your negative thoughts, that's your negative beliefs, that's your ego, that's your limitation, that's your circumstantial world. That's the world that you are trying to break free from. If you continue thinking from that place, you are going to continue to fall victim to the illusion. And you're basically a non-player character in your life. You're basically just like following a record. You know, you're on this record that's playing, or what else do you call it? You're running a program. There's a program in your mind of your limiting beliefs and your limiting self-talk and your idea of the illusory circumstantial world out there and societal norms and what other people think, you're not experiencing free will in your life to choose the things that you want and to have the things that you want. You're non-player character running a program. That's an option. That's the default mode. So you want to train yourself to be able to not think from ego, not think from mind, not think from the illusion, not think from limiting beliefs and circumstances. You want to train yourself what it feels like, what it is like to drop all of that and to enter God state, enter presence, enter the quantum field so that you have access to other realities, to infinity, to limitlessness, access to miracles, access to new ideas, new beginnings, access to infinite intelligence, divine guidance, inspiration, revelation, communication. Okay. So you're either running a program and limited by mind, your limited human thinking mechanism, and your limited belief systems, or you're learning to drop that and live as a God in form, infinite in the moment, free to create. Okay, so these are two different ways of being, these are two different worlds and two different outcomes. So you know that anything and everything is possible with God, right? That which we know as God, which to me, God is universe, God is energy, God is ineffable, God is completely indescribable, everywhere, everything, all at once. No point trying to figure it out, right? But there is this energy that creates worlds that we all have access to and we can channel into our lives, right? So you have to learn how to access that energy. I'm coming out with a course that is going to be a sequel to the 7 Steps. My 7 Steps program was one of my most popular courses, but this is going to be a sequel because I think the most important thing out of everything, if you want to live a supernatural life, if you want to have the freedom to manifest, if you want to transcend time, space, reality, and manifesting is just easy for you. God state, what I call God state, right? It's also called presence. It's called love. It's called a lot of things. But what I noticed from the 7 Steps is that a lot of people, even though I explained it and I described it, and to me it seemed like an easy thing to do to get into God state, a lot of people had a lot of trouble with that. And that's because it's more than just a direction. You can't just do it. You have to be it. If you're not actually shifting your frequency, you're not getting into God state. So it's something that you yourself have to learn how to do. You have to learn how to shift your own state based on what is being communicated to you. It can't be faked. And so you'll know if you're doing it and you'll know if you're not. All anyone can do, all I can do is help you figure out how to do that for yourself, help you feel it out, right? But ultimately, you are the one who has to make that shift. But once you do, you have access. And then the idea is just to make it something that you can do repeatedly so that this can be something that you can do deliberately, something that you can do repeatedly. Now you're in charge. You're in control of your state. You're in control of your reality. And it's all from there. Okay, so awareness, presence, God state, this is number 1. Back here at number 14, I kind of reference this again because The most effective thing that I've ever done is what I call like getting into God state, yes, but making good contact with it. And what I mean is you can kind of, there's different levels and layers to this. So you can kind of be present or get into God state like at a superficial level. You can clear your mind at a superficial level. And then you can do it to a degree to where you actually like experience bliss and ecstasy, and you have like revelations, or you have like a mystical experience, or you enter like a supernatural state. So there's levels. Spending time in God state to the point to where you're making good contact, what I call you're making good contact, and staying there for like a period of time, like I guess you would call this like a meditation. You could call it that, but making good contact with God state for an extended period of time and doing that periodically, like repetitively, as in a few times a week or every day or more than once a day, or if you get into a supernatural state, you're going to be staying there. Like that's what that is. That's the most effective thing that you can do as a practice. So not only achieving it, but really mastering it. And this requires you to change your identity from and change the way that you are being, change your habits of being. Like from this is how a normal human being thinks, they talk about things that they don't like. They spend time talking about and thinking about, the circumstances of their lives and the things that are not what they want. If you want to live in God's state, you're not going to be doing that. You're not going to be gossiping. You're not going to be talking about things that are not things that are life enhancing or life enriching. You're going to be much more attuned to your joy, and you're going to spend a lot more of your time doing things that are joyful to you, doing things that you love, talking about things that you love, and you're going to be counting your blessings. So again, this goes back to when something good happens, notice that, talk about it, talk about the good things, talk only about the good things, talk all day about only the good things. This makes a huge difference. Now, when you are making an effort to be aware and you're like, okay, like I really, really am serious about wanting to make this shift and I really want to do this. You are going to watch yourself essentially like being a moron and like just doing the opposite of what you want to be doing. You're going to be watching the ego, having negative thoughts, negative conversations, talking crap and bullshit. And you're going to be watching that. And you are going to have to, on purpose, peel yourself away from that habit and stop doing that and set your sights on a new habit and start doing that. This is a deliberate process where you are exercising your freedom of choice and you are showing yourself and proving to yourself, the universe, what you really and truly believe. That you believe that you have a choice, that you believe that your thoughts create, and that you are willing, you believe it enough that you are willing to be the embodiment of that choice. You're going to walk your talk. That's where you endow yourself with embodiment, by being the embodiment of what you say that you believe, making the decision and making it final. Okay, so this is something that you always want to be practicing, always want to be learning. If you don't know where to start with that, or you want more information, or you want to practice with me in my group on that, Super Life is in the description below. That's at the tier 1 level. Everybody has access to that. My meditations are also a good way to access that. People always wonder like what's so special about my meditations. It's because they are laced with a magical frequency called God state, which it doesn't really matter what you want the specifics of what you want. Once you're in that state, you have access to everything. So that's what I'm saying is we're talking about going to like making your life or making yourself one with this frequency where everything that you want happens and it's all around you on every subject. You're not leaving anything out. That's the shit, guys. Okay. So number 2 is 3D circumstantial view versus the God state view. Okay. So there's this trick. Now, if you're like in ego a lot of the time or most of the time, and you're trying to get yourself to be in God state most of the time, trying to make that switch. How exactly do you get yourself to do that when the ego is always, or the mind, the ego is always presenting matters in such a way that it makes it sound really important? Like you need to be thinking that thought, and these things are valid. These things are important. You need to be thinking like this is important. You need to be having this thought. You don't need to be thinking. You don't need to be thinking. There are ways for you to engage in thought without terminological linear egoic thinking. There's a big difference there. A feeling encapsulates an entire reality and all of the information that you need. It doesn't need to happen in a linear terminological way. So you can always just think about your thoughts in terms of, if I was already in my end, would this thought even be there? Would I be having this thought if I was already experiencing my end, if it was already done? And if the answer is no, then you don't need to be having that thought. It's probably a negative thought. You can also think of things in terms of frequency. Like if you are, again, if you're kind of looking at your ego and you're looking at your thoughts, you're looking at, what's happening within your mind. Is this something that is desired? Is this something that like would be happening if you were in God state? Is this God state? No. So you can drop it. It doesn't, so you want to look at things from a God state, because when you're looking at it from God state, then you kind of understand that nothing is relevant. Circumstances are not relevant, so it's not relevant to talk about them. And when you drop things, what happens? When you stop thinking about it, when you stop putting importance on it, they start to dissolve. They start to not actually show up in your life. The things that you don't want to be showing up in your life, the less attention that you're giving to them, right? So you want to make sure that you're looking at this from a higher up point of view, and understanding that all of your thoughts can be dropped. So looking at it in terms of frequency, is this like the frequency of my end, or is this not? And then dropping anything that's not relevant to God's state or relevant to your end. That's really important, because you can have the experience of getting sucked in, and you got to suck yourself out. You got to suck yourself out of it if you want to change your reality. Okay. So number 3 is creating or curating your own bubble of influence or ambiance. Okay, so I like this word ambiance or atmosphere, because this really gets the point across. So imagine in your home or in your car, or if you're going somewhere, what you want the atmosphere to be like, what you want the atmosphere to feel like in your home setting, in your room setting. How do you want it to be? How do you want it to feel? What do you want the lighting to be like? What do you want the people in that bubble of influence to be like? What do you want to experience? What is that like? So expand this out to your entire life. What do you want the mood of your life to be like or feel like? So this has to do with you being aware of your joy, what you like, what you love, what you prefer, and your desires. So I want for you to think about how to follow your joy in the sense that it's not just about finding one thing that feels good to do or one thing that feels good to think about. Now it's about following your joy in such a way that you're curating a whole atmosphere that is your life. You're creating an ambiance that is your life. And I'm not saying that you have to do anything here. I'm not saying that you have to make purchases or, do something that like, oh, well, if you're like, well, I would literally like I want to be living on an island right now, so I would have to make that happen. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying try to align with that and create your atmosphere to be as closely related to something that you consider to be joyful, comfortable, warm, inviting, lovely, something that feels resonant to you. Always be after that mood that feels like home to you. So follow your joy, noticing the good things, creating a momentum. And this also has to do with something that I call following the breadcrumb trail. It's not just about trying to make things the way that you want them to be or trying to curate things. It's also about being the version of yourself who is able to notice the positive things around you because you will notice, well, if you're being sensitive and if you're being aware, you will notice that when things that you want start manifesting in your life, it is very easy for you to miss them, quite honestly. You could actually have things manifesting in your life that are literally shaping up towards the thing that you want, like the bigger shabam thing that you want. It's like very obvious that this is aligned with the thing that you want, and you're like completely missing it because that's how dense we can be when we're in ego. And ego is so used to just paying attention to like all the obnoxious, noisy, stupid stuff that we don't like that you have to raise your awareness and be sensitive to these like finer, subtler frequencies in order to notice when things actually start shaping up in your favor. So train yourself to have an eye by being in God state, by being present, by in training with the subtler, finer frequencies, joy, love, happiness. These are like subtler frequencies. Peace is a subtle frequency. When you're in God state more, when you're in presence more, when you're no longer in ego so much, when the mind is not so loud, when you have peace and calm within, you are going to have, it's going to be easier for you to begin to notice things that you like that are happening around you. It's going to be easier for you to notice synchronicities. It's going to be easier for you to notice little things that are happening that are exactly what you want, manifestations that you would otherwise miss. So, I actually had this realization as I was like noticing that I was tipping the scales into this other reality, this new reality that was more reflective or resonant with like what I want, that I actually was like there. I was noticing that, oh my gosh, I'm already there and I'm just catching up to the fact that I'm already there and all the ways that I'm already there and it's already here happening. I'm just catching up to the fact. So when you manifest, that actually is what's happening. It's already done. And then you just have to have eyes to see it and accept it and not doubt it. So follow the breadcrumb trail as part of curating your ambiance and your atmosphere. Momentum, 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 momentum. It's all about momentum. Momentum is about what you take notice of. It's not about what's there. There's nothing inherently outside of you. It's always just which part are you looking at? Which part are you taking notice of that tips the scales? So momentum is about what you are noticing. That is a choice. All right, so number 4, authenticity. This is so important. The only way to know who you are is to not sell out. So this, I think authenticity is interesting because you're always being who you are. And yet there's like, you can come to discover like preferences that you have about yourself and who you want to be more of or how you want to express yourself more. But like you're always you know, like you are always there. And so I think that it's part of authenticity is just loving yourself in every moment by allowing and accepting you in all of your moments, as opposed to like being hard on yourself or judging yourself or saying that you should do better or you need to change. It's all in the moment. You know, like if I make a mistake right now live on YouTube, oh well, we're going to keep going. Like that happens all the time, you know? And self-love and self-acceptance allows you to continue being in flow without too much disruption or distraction from who you really are, right? Acceptance allows yourself to shine through. But I think I really love what this says. The only way to know who you are is to not sell out. So, how would you know who you are? Who you are, you know, your identity is also who is manifesting all around you, or not who, what. What is manifesting all around you is a reflection of who you are. So here's the thing is what it's not about what is around you that defines you. If you're allowing what is around you to define you, if you're looking at what's around you in such a way that you're allowing it to tell you who you are in a negative way, that's we never take our cue from the outside. So not selling out means you continue to believe and know who you are no matter what is around you. You continue to know and believe who you are. I don't care what is around me. I don't care what anyone is saying. I don't care what anything is doing. I don't care what the outside is looking like. I know who I am, and I am not going to sell out. I'm not going to sell my soul to get something that I don't really want anyway, because I feel desperate, because I don't believe in getting what I want, because I'm not knowing who I am. You see what I mean? Don't sell out. Know who you are. Know who you are. Know who you are. Know who you are. Resonate with who you are. And that will win out when you choose to know that. And don't allow yourself to be afraid that, oh no, maybe I'm not that. Maybe I should sell out because maybe I'm not good enough for this thing or whatever. You know what I mean? Know who you are, claim it, and stick to it no matter what. You know, in the first video of this series, I mentioned that I mentioned that I found myself in a reality where it just felt like nothing felt right. Nothing felt like a true reflection of me. Nothing felt like it was me, like it was resonant, right? I was like, how could so many things in my life be so off? And all you have to do in order to transcend that, see, you're having that happen as well in whatever area it is that you want to change. The only thing that you have to do is keep knowing what you know about who you are and what resonates with you, and don't pay attention to anything else. That's it. So I did that with my person. I didn't need him to change. I became neutral in my life about everything in my life. I became neutral, not needing it to change, not pushing, not pulling, not needing it to change. But that is a really big test. I'm It's like a test, so I'm just going to call it a test. That is a really big thing that it's like the universe is going to test you. It's like this isn't looking like how you want it to look. What's your response? Are you going to How are you going to define yourself based on this thing? How are you going to view this thing? Are you going to be mad at this thing? Are you going to say that this thing means something about you or something about reality or something about this person? Just be neutral. Don't let the thing that you don't want, the negativity of the thing that you don't want, win out by giving it a name and making it mean something. And now you're giving it meaning and importance. No, 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 no. So, so my person, he's wonderful. He is really great. I did a really, really good job manifesting him to be the person for me, but also, um, the man is like a pit bull. He will never give up. He is the best persister that I have ever seen. Wow. So we have that, but still there was a frequency or a version of him that I knew was him, that he was still wanting to be. And I became neutral to the whole idea. I didn't make it mean anything about him. I didn't make it mean anything about me. I didn't make it mean anything about life. And I just allowed myself to be more and more neutral about it. And at the same time, I was doing all the other things on this list, living my best life, following my joy, making sure that I had things to be happy about, things that I love to engage with, things that I felt a sense of accomplishment about, things that I was doing that I felt good about. Um, and I just didn't, yeah, I didn't have any negative definitions about that. I let it go. I actually didn't do a lot of thinking about him. And then I kind of realized, like, I allowed myself to really make sure that I was relinquishing any negativity, any negative ideas, any negative thought, anything like that, any negative judgments. Let it all go, be completely neutral. And all of a sudden, our interactions started going perfectly. Not better, perfectly. just exactly the way that I wanted it to go, exactly the way that always resonated with me, exactly the way that I knew that it could go, exactly the person that I knew that he was. That before it was like, why am I not seeing this? Because I know that that's the truth. Well, when I stopped like saying that, and when that stopped being my story, then he started actually just being that person. And I got to like the version of him that resonated with me 100%, the version of him that I'm in bubble love with, the version of him that means like him and I are living in a supernatural reality together. That's the version that I got. The conversation's going differently. All of a sudden, how could your person just change all of a sudden and your conversations just change? And you guys, this is the way manifesting works. This is the way that it happens. It is a supernatural thing. It yesterday doesn't matter. What anybody said doesn't matter. What you think is possible doesn't matter. What they think is possible doesn't matter. None of this is even real at all. So when you stop acting like circumstances are real, like people are real and they can't change or yada, 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 there's limitation, whatever. When you stop thinking that, then reality shifts. So, what I'm saying is that you know who you are and what resonates with you based on who you know that you are. You know what version of you resonates with you. You know what version of reality resonates with you. That's that version, you know that that's real because it is real. That's the version that feels like normal to you, that makes sense to you, that resonates with you because you're right. You're absolutely right. So instead of fighting with reality and getting upset and getting your panties in a bunch and wondering why it's not here, just let yourself be right. Just let yourself be right. Don't make a problem out of it. And one thing that happens when you are crossing that threshold into the new reality is you get to watch yourself change too. So my reality didn't just change, my person didn't just change. I got to watch myself change too. And I got to be a cooperative component and go along with it. But I only was able to do that because I had cultivated enough awareness to be a cooperative component. This is where God state and presence comes in because if you don't have God state and presence, and if you're just in ego all the time and thinking all the time, and you're basically running as a non player character in your reality because you're running a program and not being a free character, then you will always go back to old habits and thoughts and fears, and you will never pierce through into that new reality. So, I don't really hear a lot of people saying that specifically to you guys, but I will say it to you because that is very, very important as far as you being able to see and engage with the new reality that you want. You have to change too. I had to change too. If I hadn't changed, everything else wouldn't have changed and I wouldn't have gotten what I had got. I wouldn't have got my manifestations and I wouldn't still be on a roll with this amazing supernatural momentum getting what I want. You have to change first. You change with God state. You change with presence. You change through good contact and meditation. You change by changing. And it has to be something that is real, something that you actually engage in and practice and embody. It cannot be faked. Number 8. Oh, no, we're number 5. Okay. Number 5 is what I call lucidity. So, lucidity in the super life community, I have written out my definition of lucidity and just exactly what you need to do in order to be lucid. So, I call it lucidity because it's like waking up from the dream, which is exactly like what we talk about with dream state, right? a waking dream, being lucid in your dream, having a lucid dream. You know that you're dreaming. And what happens when you know that you're dreaming? You are able to control the dream. And now you can act freely in the dream and not just be a non player character with no free will of your own. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown on how to be lucid and wake up from this dream, the dream of reality. Basically, I say it like this: I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my emotions. It doesn't matter what I think, what I feel, what I say. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, feels, says, or says, does, anything. It doesn't matter what I think, what I feel. I'm still a creator. I'm still God of my reality. And I'm still getting my manifestation. Nothing can mess up my manifestation, not even me. And so it's not really about what thoughts go through your mind or what you feel or think. If you think that you are at the mercy of your feelings and thoughts, you are completely fucked. So you need to learn how to be lucid so that you can see your thoughts and see your feelings or emotions, your internal experiences, and you can separate yourself from that and know that that does not manifest for you if you know that it doesn't, that doesn't matter as long as you know that it doesn't. If you think that it matters, then fear will manifest for you, but that's you not being awake. Little bit trippy, a little bit meta, but all very, very real and valid, very relevant. Okay, so I have right here this idea of this deserving bullshit, this idea of deserving a thing or not, this idea of worthiness or not being worthy. That's all just that's all just a story. It's just a story. Everything is just a story, right? So you're here, you deserve it, period, point blank. Any other story is just an ego story in time. Time is not real anyway. So anything that's in time, anything that anything that questions your worth or anything that feels limited at all, anything that feels bad at all these things are part of the illusion. Okay? So in fact, let me tell you something that you can use to help you wake up from the dream and be lucid. So I am going to call this, I call these tells. I guess like in movies, they would call it, triggers. So there's this concept that you can trigger yourself to like wake up in a dream so that you can like be lucid in your dream. Um, so I call this tells. So like for instance, I was dreaming the other day and I had a dream that my daughter had a tracheostomy, like a tube in her throat. Like I was a nurse for 10 years and I've taken care of a lot of people with tracheostomies, so that explains why I might have a dream like that. But so in my dream, my daughter had one, and I that was the tell for me. I was like, my daughter has never had that. My daughter's totally healthy, so I know that I'm dreaming. That told me I was dreaming. I was like, I'm totally dreaming. That's not real. Um, so here's how you can program this. So if you experience anything that feels bad or negative, that cannot be real. If you ever question your worth or deservedness or your value, that also cannot be real. Fear is not real. So that should always, if you experience any discomfort or negativity, those are all signs of unconsciousness. So you could program yourself so that anytime that you experience any fear, negativity, or discomfort, that you wake yourself up, because that cannot be real. So that can be your tell. Okay, number 6, self-love. I absolutely love this one because this is part of momentum. Self-love, not minimizing your gifts, your talents, and nurturing and showcasing your gifts and your talents. Okay, so I totally one thing that I did in order to help me create like an abundant, like lovely, to curate like the perfect ambiance and atmosphere for my life is like I started focusing on my body more, like for fun. I started pampering myself a lot more. I started like lifting weights in the gym and exercising more and like really allowing myself to get carried away with that, like as in fun. I wasn't doing it to get a result. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, like I need to look better or I need to be better or I need to, I hate the way that I am or I hate the way that I look or I'm so weak or I'm so this or I'm so that. So I have to change it in the gym. Or I don't like my hair. So I'm going to like do this to my hair. I don't like my face. I'm going to do this to my face. That is not why I did any of that. I simply was wanting to occupy myself with self-loving habits. And I wanted to give myself something to feel good about, something to look forward to. I wanted to give myself a sense of accomplishment. I wanted to give myself things to like pat myself on the back of, things to feel good about in my life, right? So body is something that if you feel good about body, like you feel good. Like you can you can egg yourself on and like really make yourself feel good about, things that you're doing for your body when you're taking care of your body, when you're pampering your body. You can have a lot of fun. Not only fun doing it, but fun thinking about it afterwards. Not only fun doing it and thinking about it afterwards, but having fun knowing that you look good and then having fun knowing that you feel good. Like it's really easy. So I was using body to like give myself a leg up and have fun and give myself like something fun to engage with that's really healthy for me. And this helped me get a lot of good momentum going. And again, like if I had set a goal and been like, oh, well, I need to grow 2 inches on my butt, or, that's my goal. Like I need to lose 10 pounds, or like I need to like look like this, or I need to like whatever, then I wouldn't still be, working out now and still be looking good and stuff. Like I wouldn't have been able to stick to it and persist because those are impure motivations. And impure motivation is when you're doing something to get something, as opposed to doing it just because it's your joy. The idea here is if you want to cultivate a life of joy, and if you want to influence yourself into tipping the scales into a reality called joy, a reality that's made up of love and joy and happiness, you need to be following your joy. So you have to make sure that you're following your joy. Like I'm working out because, well, first of all, I intend to lift weights for the rest of my life. So every day of my life, I know that no matter what, I am going to look better. 1 year from now, I'm going to look better. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be healthier. 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, same thing. It's going to happen. So it's as good as already done now. So I'm getting that. I'm not putting pressure on myself. I'm actually able to go in and enjoy working out. And I'm able to, since I started doing it with that perspective, I don't get injured. I've been able to avoid injuries, and my body is much healthier than what it used to be. I used to go to the gym and I would like injure myself because I had a goal. So I wasn't able to really tune into the guidance of like making healthy choices that would prevent injuries because I was kind of trying to get this goal, right? I don't do that anymore. And so it's been like a much better experience. Um, what else? So this is this was kind of like where the idea for my new program, Fountain of Youth, came about, because I was like, you know what? Like, manifesting is a very holistic endeavor, and including your body in that process and celebrating your body in the process and pampering your body in the process. And that has to do with a lot of things. That has to do with food, skincare, cosmetics, also exercise. There's a million different ways to exercise. Um, and I don't even think that it should stop there. Like, I don't think that it should stop at all. I think Fountain of Youth, it's about transcending circumstances, like transcending the idea of circumstances, transcending the idea that, oh, like you have to get old and age, as you have to. There's a difference between chronological age and biological age. Your chronological age doesn't have to mean biological aging. You know what I mean? Like, so it's this idea of being able to transcend circumstances and like write your own script. And then it's also this idea of having a holistic approach to manifesting, because you're cultivating an entire reality, an entire atmosphere. And why wouldn't you include all of these things? So that's the idea for Fountain of Youth. Now, this is where I'm having the Black Friday sale, because I've had so many people interested in Fountain of Youth. But I would, and I had people ask me, like, is it going on sale? I'm like, no, it's not going on sale. Well, I decided to go ahead and do that for Black Friday. I'm going to have it 50% off, but it's a subscription. So this is something that is going to um keep giving back, like, for as long as you are a member, because every single month you're going to be saving that money. And that's something that other people are not going to have access to, that sale. Only you are. So you're going to be like an OG with like this amazing discount. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm doing for Black Friday. Comment below if you want the link for that, and I will give you the link. I don't know how long that's going to be available. I think it just kind of depends on how many people sign up. I'll probably cut it off. So I don't know if it's going to be ending tonight, tomorrow, maybe the next day, but I would say that it's something that is not going to last long. If you're interested in joining Fountain of Youth, it's kind of for, I mean, it's for top tier people. It's for people that like really, really want to go all in with this whole manifesting thing. And I think it's for high performance type of people. If you're like type A and you're really invested and you're into all this, you're into all the different stuff that I'm into, and you want that extra stuff too. It's also where you're going to get more one-on-one with me. So that's an extra perk that you're getting. Okay, so that's that. Showcasing your talents. Okay, so I think that if you can brag about how great you are all day, do it. This is really healthy. Having Now, I don't think it's about, let's see. Let me make a distinction here, because at no point am I encouraging you to experience the perspective of ego, which is like pride and judging and better than or less than or deserving or not deserving. I want you to get in the habit of being in God's state, experiencing from God's state, but with awareness and with consciousness, allowing yourself to brag and love the things that you love about yourself. Like, I grew 2 fucking inches on my ass in the gym, and I love talking about it. I love celebrating that. I love celebrating that accomplishment. I'm so happy for that. I love the way that it looks. I wanted that. I freaking did it. It was so much work. It took me like 6 months to do. I'm happy about that. And I think that there's nothing wrong with allowing yourself to be happy about what you're happy about when it comes to you and your life. That is how you create more momentum in the direction that you want. Counting your blessings, sharing your success stories. So, this whole idea that, oh my gosh, like stop talking about yourself and stop pampering yourself and stop doing great things for yourself and stop loving yourself. Do you want to be a goddess or not? Like, who is giving you this? Who are you listening to? Someone who doesn't have it great, who doesn't want to hear you talk about how great your life is? Yeah, don't listen to them, you know? And if you're around people who are meant for you and who also love you and want good things for you, they're not going to have a problem with that. They're going to do it right along with you. In fact, having a friend that they talk great about themselves and you talk great about yourself and you help egg each other on and you just talk great shit all day, that is what you want. And most people do the opposite, not what you want, you know? I have no problem telling people what I love about them too. So it's just about where you are in your reality, in your mind, in your frequency, what dimension you're in. And if you want, let's say, a person, you want your person in your life, don't you want to have really good things to say about you and about them? Because let me tell you, when you're in bubble love, it's all good shit all day. It's all good words all day. The goodness just never ends and it never gets old. So, oh man. Okay. Okay. So, understanding instant manifestation. The situation doesn't need to change. I do. When I change, everything changes. I mentioned this before. I'm going to mention it again right now. The situation doesn't need to change in order for me to have my manifestation. I need to change. And when I change, everything changes. I can change in an instant. And that is all it takes for my entire reality to change. When you know that, you can allow yourself to drop circumstances, drop notion of circumstances, drop notion of limitation, and you can allow yourself to enter God's state, make really good contact with it, and you can allow yourself to receive revelation and inspiration that equals you changing and you having a new perspective and you having a new identity. And as soon as that shit comes in, everything changes. So it's not really like when you're on this journey to manifesting what you want, it's not really like you're waiting for the thing to happen. You're waiting to get a revelation, actually. You're waiting for an inspiration that's going to take you there. That's really what you're waiting for. Now, how do you get that? By tuning yourself to the frequency where you can receive that God state. You see how this works? You're not waiting for something to fall out of the sky. You're waiting to become the sky where everything comes, where everything becomes. Everything falls out of the sky. Okay. Number 8, manifestation is deep and meaningful. It is so much more than just, I want things. I want things. It's about the thrill of discovering who you are, the joy of embodying your divinity, and watching your beauty manifest all around you. Your reality is a manifestation of you. And every person in your reality is a manifestation of you. So in the beginning, when we're really frustrated, like for me, it's like, okay, I want to I want to I want to spend time shifting my vibration, and then I want to see that amounted to something in my reality. I'm at a place where I can really see that connection between the energetic time that the time that I spent attuning myself energetically in a different vibrational place and making different decisions, I can really see where that has manifested in my reality, in the people, and in my ability to see that in my reality and in the people and interact with the people in my reality on that frequency. Before you're there, it's Before you have made that connection, it's hard for you to make the decision to commit and hunker down to like be in that frequency, to like go all in and to take it very seriously and to disconnect from circumstances. But I'm here to tell you, do it. Do it. Commit, persist, persist. Do it. Do what it takes. And if anything, just make sure that you are doing something that you weren't doing before if you want to create change. Commit, go all in, commit. Because it will happen when you stop needing it to happen so much and needing to force it so much. Train yourself to be able to let go and to spend more time in God's state, the place of letting go and being empowered, living or accessing peace, accessing joy, accessing love, accessing surrender. There are so many times when I just completely gave up, and that was perfect. Giving up is not the same thing as being apathetic. Giving up is surrendering. And when you surrender, you're no longer fighting. And when you're no longer fighting, you might be able to enter peace. It's perfect. You're not holding the negativity in your awareness. And when you're not holding the negativity in your awareness, it can go away. Manifestation is deep and meaningful, right? So shift your focus from, I want things, I want things, I want things to be different, I want things to change, I want things. Shift it from that to discovering the joy of who you are, loving your divinity, experiencing that, and getting to notice it manifesting all around you. Think about gratitude. We all want to live in this place where it's just love and gratitude. We're just surrounded by love and gratitude. But you have to be the person who can have an attitude of gratitude if you want to live there. And are you that person? Are you that person? You can get there. You don't want stuff. You want the ability to freely express yourself. Yeah. Yeah, without feeling the hindrance that only exists in your mind. Manifesting through ego versus manifesting through God. Wow. Ego. Trying and condition hinges on requiring change. Okay, so you can manifest through ego. Obviously, ego can experience fear and you'll experience it and then it'll happen, right? So you can manifest through ego. That hinges on trying to make things change, requiring things to change, and it's all based around conditions, right? Needing conditions to change. But manifesting through God state or presence, God state, has to do with the embodiment of truth. It's like a completely opposite mechanism. You can also use ego to manifest good things by, getting yourself to somehow practice a mental diet and getting yourself to say the right things to yourself and say it enough and to feel it enough and believe it enough. But is it still based around needing things to change? Because if it is, then you're going to be caught in this pendulum swing where if you could get yourself to feel good and worthy over here, that's just a story. So if you somehow found yourself in this other story where you don't feel good enough, what's going to happen? You're not going to know how to get out of that because you did it from ego the entire time. You don't know how to get out of story. And if it's always about trying to make things change one way or another, if it's always about needing things to change, then you're going to be caught in this hamster wheel where you always have to try to make something happen in order to maintain the life that you want. That's a trap that you don't want to be caught in. So, what do? You exit time and circumstances and story and illusion. You exit that completely. You exit ego completely. You exit that way of being completely. And you identify yourself now as God state, not as the thinking human running on the hamster wheel. You're identifying as God state, where it's all just about the embodiment of truth. And the embodiment of truth is just you already are this person, this being, and you already live in this reality where everything is already the way that you want it to be. It just makes sense that everything is harmonious. It just makes sense that everything is loving. It just makes sense that everything is abundant. It just makes sense that I get my needs met and I get what I want and that everyone is nice to each other all the time. It just makes sense that things work out. It just makes sense that experience is lovely and infinite and ever changing and ever growing and ever evolving, and that things are good and that there's always more opportunities. There's always more. There's always more. There's always more. There's always more. It just makes sense. So, in manifesting from the embodiment of God state, you just settle into truth, which is love and abundance. And you just continue knowing that and let it be. And you don't have to keep manifesting to try to maintain the life that you want. You don't have to keep manifesting your person. You don't have to keep manifesting money. You don't have to keep manifesting love. You just be who you are. You learn who you are, God state, and you learn how to be who you are. You learn how to embody truth. You learn how to settle into that. And everything takes care of itself. And I'm not joking. You got to break up with your ego and the way that you've always been. You got to break up with your old identity, your old way of being, your old habit of being a human. But this is way better. This is way worth it. Because I don't know about you, but I sure didn't want to do techniques my entire life to try to maintain my life. I was like, something's not right about this. Something's not right when I have to always be doing techniques to try to maintain the things that I want in my life the way that I want them. What am I, a slave? Right? No. So it can be so much easier than that. You can live and breathe and manifest. Live and breathe and manifest. You manifest through knowing and being who you are. Step 5. Okay, Abraham Hicks talks about step 5. Can you heal your body through manifestation? Yes, and I have a lot of experience with this. There's no exceptions to manifestation. Okay, step 5. Abraham Hicks talks about step 5. So, step 5 is when things are not the way that you want them to be, and you're also okay with that because you're not freaking out because you know it doesn't mean anything. You're not attached and you're not putting too much importance on these things outside of yourself anymore. Boy, when I watched myself do that, I knew that was the ticket. I was like, that. I love catching myself in the act. Be like, that is the ticket. That is the ticket, baby. Baby, baby. Accepting and allowing, releasing importance, accepting, allowing negativity to flow through. Okay, so the way that you allow yourself to see things you don't like and have no attachment to it and know that it's not important, think about it like this. So you are not this human identity, this human ego avatar. You're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, you're not this human identity thing. You're not anything that you can see or witness. You are the witnesser. You are the awareness that is observing it all. You are only that. That is it. So all of your experiences and all of the way that you experience everything, just let it flow through you. Don't identify with your emotions and your thoughts and your stories. Imagine that it's an energy flowing through you. It's not, I am angry. It's, oh, anger is happening. It's like flowing through you. Anger is here. Anger is, there's a story here and it's flowing through me and I'm witnessing it and it's happening. The ego is happening. The ego is having an experience. The ego is having an experience. Oh my gosh, there's feelings happening. There's stories happening, right? So it's not, I am this. Oh my gosh, what do I do because I'm this? Oh my gosh, it's stuck to me now because I think it's me and I'm keeping it going. You witness it, you allow it to flow through you. It's just a story. It happened. Water under the bridge. Bye-bye. It's not you. You don't have to do anything about it. It flows through you. Oh my gosh, this is such a better way to experience life. I don't know a better way to tell you. That's life-changing right there, because you're not trying to change everything, because things come and go. Thoughts come and go, stories come and go, emotions come and go. It all comes and goes. When you let it go, that's when you experience things being able to change much faster in your favor. There's nothing for you to fix or change if you can just let it go. All right, so that's how I do step 5. Drop everything all the time to stay in flow. Yeah. All right, so 11. Bubble love hinges on a trust frequency. Hold on, okay. Bubble love hinges on a trust frequency. So I have heard people say, just trust the universe. And I personally never got that before. I never understood that before. But so I manifested just fine without it, earlier in my life. But I gave it a try. And I was like, what if I just really, really, really know that I'm here, and that means that the universe has my back, because I'm the god of my reality. Of course, everything's going to be fine. Of course, everything works out in my favor. Duh, I'm important. Duh, I'm here to create. Duh, I'm here to have fun, right? What if I really do know and trust the universe has my back? And let me tell you something. It really, really started working. I mean, within a day, I started seeing the evidence of my trust. Let's use a different word. Stability and support. When you experience the vibration of stability and support, you experience that in reality. And that's where your abundance and love and everything that you want comes from. Let me tell you, trust and support, trust and support, trust and support will get you everything that you want. For real. So, bubble love. So let's take the idea of ecstasy and bliss. You can't experience ecstasy and bliss if you are not comfortable. You have to first be comfortable. How do you get comfortable? Trust. First, you have to be comfortable, then you can relax, then you can enjoy and receive. So, the bubble love frequency and the abundance frequency and the love frequency, they all hinge on trust. So, I don't really care who or what you use as your excuse to trust, but you have to establish trust and stability and safety and security somehow, a baseline of that. Because if you're running around trying to manifest, but you're doing it from like a survival mode because you feel unsafe all the time and you feel like nothing and no one has your back, you're not going to shift out of survival mode, you know? Yeah. So choose to believe the universe has your back. Number 12, noticing positive momentum. We covered that. It's worth saying again, noticing positive momentum. Yes. And the opposite. Stop talking about bullshit that you don't like. If you don't want to manifest it, don't talk about it. Don't notice it. It it doesn't deserve any bit of your attention at all. 13. Whoa, this is a good one. Okay, number 13 is persist every day. Here's what that looks like. You have to wake up every single day and you have to, it's like renew your vows to yourself. If you wake up and you're not on top of the world or over the moon or you're having, you have to like re-establish your trust for the universe and redeclare like your promise to yourself of like what you're doing, who you are, what you're claiming, what you're moving towards. Are you all in? Like, what are you doing? Right. So wake up every morning and reestablish your goals and reinforce your goals and make sure that you are reminding yourself of what those are. Make sure that you're embodying it with practices. Make sure that you are deciding and declaring every single day. If you wake up and you're not already naturally doing this, persist, do it all over again. I don't care what I feel like. I don't care what I'm thinking. I don't care what's going on. I don't care what happened. I believe this. I believe that I'm the God of my reality. I believe that I'm getting what I want. I believe in my end. This is my end. This is my practice. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm reinforcing this. This is my, what are you doing? Persist and renew your vows and do it every single day. Okay. That's it for my list. Make sure that you watch part 1. If you're still watching, that means you like the video. So make sure that you click the like button, subscribe, and look out for my videos that I'm going to be coming out with next. If you want to take part in my Black Friday sale and join the Fountain of Youth for 50% off and stay locked into 50% off Fountain of Youth until for the foreseeable future, forever, basically, month after month, then comment below and I will give you that link for as long as I have seats available in Fountain of Youth to give you guys. If you have any questions about that, just let me know. I love you guys and I'll see you in the next video.